I have decided to share my story because I think that I had contributed to a lot of crime, a lot of persons getting involved in crime, and even the situation in Laventille with the disorder, I contributed to that in somehow. And since I changed my life, I decided that I was going to give back to society, give back to the youths, give back to the young people, and make a difference because I was part of the problem, so now I want to be part of the solution.
I'm okay in my human form. That's just the calm before the storm. In my head it keeps raging on. Oh my brother, can you hear the song? Many years ago I had a dream. I sold my dream so I could eat. Now I'm eating and I have fun. I lost my soul and gained the world.
Early morning, and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago go to work, to school, hoping and dreaming all under the same hot Caribbean sun. But citizens have become frustrated. Crime and the violence is the norm. We are discontented and disconnected.
What is a citizen? A citizen is not separate but belongs. A citizen knows goodness to one can be kindness to many. We all as citizens can make change happen. We all have something good to give, even if it's just a smile or a thank you.
The power to change negativity to positivity is in every citizen. We all have our fights, our stories, our joys. This is the story of one citizen, his fight, truth, and hope.
I am Gary. I am citizen.
From gangster to pastor. What could make a man become a gangster? What type of strength would it take to walk away from that life when it was all you knew? Gary Grant has a past filled with pain. Once a hardened criminal who ran the roughest streets, he found his soul in the four walls of a prison and now strives to be a better citizen. Gary was born and raised in Laventille. His life of crime started at a young age.
Well, my mother was very strict. She used to beat for everything. And she never used to want us to mingle with the other youths in the community. She used to tell us to stay inside the house, that we have enough brother and sister to play with. So I don't have to go outside. So, things like parties and those sort of things, I couldn't get to go to those type of things. And I used to always feel like I'm missing out. So I used to see my friends going out, I just see them wearing the latest brands. I just see them flying kite, and if I had to do those things, I'd just steal an opportunity to do it, wait until she's not home, or wait until she's sleeping or something to go and do it. But if I get caught, it's blows. That your baby, Brandon? Oh, I want to know. I think that what really caused me to gravitate towards a life of crime is, peer pressure, wanted the attention, wanted to be popular, wanted to receive the kind of attention that I saw the guys who were behaving bad in school, who were disrespectful to teachers, who were gambling, who were fighting. When I look at them fellas, I used to find that real cool. The kind of respect them commanding in school, all the girls on them, they have all the friends. So I started to look at that type of life. This year I used to have all the activities, marbles, cricket, football. Well, I started off robbing like sales van, and then after we started off like robbing business places, and then we started to rob gas stations, and then we started to rob persons that were selling drugs, and it just started to escalate and get worse and worse. I remember climbing these trees when I was small. sweet mangoes. Sometimes when we done plan a robbery, here is the place we used to wait for the hot car, the stolen car to come to pick us up for us to go and perform the robbery, and then we used to come back right here and after the robbery itself. So here was like the mega of activities. Here was the place where everything used to happen. This is a picture that was taken of me in prison, and this is what I call classification. When I come in prison and you get convicted, they just put on your blue suit. The blue suit I have on here is like the prison uniform. I was 24 years at this time, and I had now been convicted for 25 years for 2 counts of robbery, armed robbery and aggravation. After serving that last 5 years in prison, which was the last time I was in prison as a prisoner, I think that is where I really transitioned from a gangster to a pastor. When you're in prison is a different world. I mean, it's one of the most horrifying places that a human being could ever be made subject to. I've seen person go into prison and come back out in a body bag. I've seen person come in jail as men and end up girls, getting raped in prison. I've seen person come in jail with the 2 hands and 2 feet and leave prison getting the hand and a foot break up. Prisoners, I see people and all come in prison with 2 eyes and end up with 1 eye because somebody stabbed them in the eye. Because when it have fights in jail, whether it's between prisoners or prisoners and officer, it has been real brutal fights. Because in jail, there's no gun for you to defend yourself. So it might be a gunman on the outside shooting people. When they reach in jail, it's hand fight or somebody with a chucker to chuck you up. Prison is like a war zone. It's a horrible place. And it's not a place that I would like to see any young man go. Because, as I say, you could go in prison one way and come out of prison in many different ways, or don't come out at all alive. The first time that I committed a robbery, I was frightened. But what happened is that every time I committed an act of crime and I got away, I became more bold. I became more brazen, and then I became fearless. But the person who I used to commit crime with, he used to follow a certain religion, and he used to say, well, white people is Babylon, and that rich people is Babylon. And God put us here to execute judgment upon all evildoers. So when I going out and robbing people, I used to feel like I doing a good. So I used to have my testament in my back pocket. I used to pray sometime before we go and commit robberies, because we think, well, I at that time, 17 years, thinking that is something right I doing. Yes, I see you, boy.
I too ain't see you, yes, and you're because right and you don't know what I mean, I don't see you. But let's pass up on what you're building.
Yeah.
Probably about you. Respect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good day, everybody. Good day.
My mother was very disappointed when I started to live a life of crime, because she would say that I am not the son that she brought up, because I had 2 other brothers and neither of them got involved in crime. I was the only one that got involved in crime. So when she started heard about the things that I was doing, she was very displeased. As a matter of fact, she used to say, I'm not your son. So I remember a day that I was home and I was watching, I think, TBN. And then I started hearing some gunshots. So I left home and I walked up the road here and I went to see where the gunshots coming from. When I walked down in the gallery, I saw his head bent back and all his brain on the ground. Somebody snuck up behind him with a gun and blew off his head with a shotgun.
That night, it changed. It changed everything. You know how it was around Christmas too? It was like Christmas wasn't.
Sometimes I just feel kind of guilty. I always feel guilty about that. I always feel like it's probably I to blame too for his death. I always feel guilty about it.
Life of crime.
Life of crime really don't pay.
It don't pay.
It don't pay.
Yeah. And that is just to show you the example how the little ones is what the big ones.
Yeah. One of the choices that I made that I'm most proud of pertaining to the life that I lived before was the choice not to retaliate when my close friend got killed. At that point in time, I was very angry. I felt that I owed it to him to retaliate, because if he was alive, he would have done the same thing for me. But then on the road of change, I studied that if I tried to retaliate, or if I did retaliate, it would have started a cycle that would have never ended, because I would have probably shot them, they would have come back and shoot me, and then would have continued to escalate with the war in the community. So I choose not to retaliate. I choose not to try to avenge his death and to walk away. And that was one of the hardest decisions that I was to make, was one of the choices that kept me on the pathway to where I am now. Well, one of my dream, or the dream that I had, the vision for my life, who I wanted to become was a police. I wanted to be a police officer. I used to watch a lot of movies on TV with police, and I just liked the idea of being a police officer. So I wanted to be a police. But as I said, when I went to Laventille, I allowed myself to be diverted because of peer pressure, wanted to be popular. So if I was to go back in time, I would follow the dream that I had. I would do all that it takes in order to become a police officer. My car handle kind of break this, so I had to open from the back. And living the life of crime, I cross path with a lot of people. Plenty of them I met in prison, plenty of them I met from other associates. And it's so much, I can't even say how much of them died now, but I know it's a whole lot. Plenty of them got killed and died while living a life of crime. Well, sad being here. I don't even want to stay here too long. In this place of death. Here's how it is. I feel happy that I changed my life, knowing the amount of persons that I grew up with and was involved in crime, and now they're lying down in a grave. They never get to realize the full potential of their life. Most of them died young, some in the early 20s, some leaving family and loved ones behind. I'm fortunate to be alive. When my mother died, we weren't on talking terms. We had some small dispute and we didn't really talk to each other for a little while. And then I remember it was about 1:00 in the morning and I got the call that she died. And I was shocked because I never get the opportunity to make up for that difference for us to start back talking. So it affected me a lot. I remember before she was buried, I went to the funeral home and I spoke to her and told her that I was sorry, and I cried over her coffin and I spoke with her and I bid her goodbye, right? And that was something that stuck with me because sometimes we take people for granted. You take them for granted that they are alive and they are well and you always feel that you have time. But with that situation with my mother, I realized that none of us own time, and tomorrow is none of us, belongs to none of us. I regret the fact that I disappointed my mother, although she made tremendous investment in my life and I didn't turn out to be the person that she wanted me to be. That is something that continues to live on and haunt me, even up to today. She herself is buried somewhere in this cemetery here, too, as well. I'm not sure exactly where is the spot, but it's something that I regret, not doing the right thing and listening to her. If I listened to her, I wouldn't have had all the bad and horrific experiences that I had. I wouldn't have went through a lot of the bad things that I went through because I didn't listen to her.
This is where you end up when you just want to listen.
I don't listen.
You know, so when you don't listen, you end up like this. And let me tell you something, I'm 46, dog. This is my backyard. I born and I grew up right down the road there. The first dove I shoot and Rose wasn't down here. First kite I fly was here. And to what I see now, long time, very rare you'll see a funeral. But today, every day you're seeing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 funerals per day. You know why? They want to make here in New York. Live fast, die young.
Yeah.
You understand? You don't want to grow up the way how the old people teach we. Do the right thing. You understand? Let me get back the way of how it's done. We grandfathers and toiling the soil to create something they call Trinidad and Tobago. The best country to have in the Caribbean. And what they're trying to do. What are they trying to do, boy? You understand? Live old, have grandchildren, great-grand, see them and be happy. You understand? Don't be a fool and end up here, boy. Have a nice day and take it from me. G tell all of that, right?
G.
Yeah.
All right, G.
Take all that time.
By choosing not to go down the path of retaliation, by choosing a different path, Gary Grant is alive today. He could have been another statistic, another dead gangster 6 feet under the ground. His dream of being a good citizen may have been derailed in his youth, but now his life today tells a different story. In the next episode, we see how this ex-gangster is now using his past life as example to others to show how crime does not pay.
Mr. Gary Grant.
How many of you believe that crime don't pay? I'm going to tell you something. Crime does pay. Crime does pay. I couldn't be in the hospital to support my girlfriend at the time, to see my child born. I was in jail, locked up. That was how crime paid.
Now what you see is what you get. Press this button and reset. Yes, wilder than the West, you might just get your chest wet. Red, pledge up on your shirt and put you